My conception is that parts hold memories. Parts are like people inside of us that have unique perspectives and personalities, and parts hold memories, right? Now, all of you and your parts went through the same thing, the same experiences, grew up on the same street, etc. But for some, memories, especially intense, difficult memories, are predominant for certain parts, right? Certain parts are just kind of dominated by difficult memories, difficult experiences, right? That's how and when they picked up their burdens. Going Inside is a podcast on a mission to help people heal from trauma and reconnect with their authentic self. Join me, trauma therapist John Clark, for guest interviews, real-life therapy sessions, and soothing guided meditations. Whether you're navigating your own trauma, helping others heal from trauma, or simply yearning for a deeper understanding of yourself, Going Inside is your companion on the path to healing and self-discovery. Download free guided meditations and apply to work with me one-on-one at johnclarktherapy.com. Thanks for being here. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. This is Going Inside. I'm your host, John Clark, licensed trauma therapist. I'm a group practice owner and a supervisor, consultant, and a trainer for therapists. So happy to be with you all today. The point of today is to answer your questions live. That's questions about your work, your cases, IFS, somatic work, EMDR, psychodynamics, therapy at large, even the business of therapy. It's all fair game here. So I've got a question already that's here live in the comments, or in the chat, excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. And then if you are here live and have questions, go ahead and submit them as well in the chat, and I'll pull them up one by one. Okay, this question is from writer K. My question: I recently learned with a client that even when not working, can't disengage from work mentally, used to checking emails always. It's his way of staying in control of unexpected risk, ambiguity of corporate nature, and his over-functioning leadership trait. He recently told me it's also part of his ADHD. He feels that if he's not in control or always keeping up with work emails, etc., he would miss things. He'd miss something, forget things, would fail, and that failure is never accepted in his system. He has a high position role in his company. Okay, it's a good question. So this feels really familiar because I live and work in the Bay Area, arguably the most competitive place in the world in terms of um, smart, ambitious people who come here to do smart, ambitious people things like launching companies and taking over the world with their technology, etc. I won't get on a soapbox, but that's what people come here to do. They come here to be special, to be unicorns, and to be shiny. Where does that come from, right? People that are, quote, high achieving or like extremely high achieving, anyone who is extreme has a lot of polarization in their system, right? Someone who is extremely high achieving has a extreme degree of burden in their system around worthlessness, right? And around not being special. Anytime I hear the word I want, client says like, I want to be really successful. What I hear that as is I fear failure, right? I fear being unsuccessful. They have a part that is terrified of being unsuccessful, terrified of failure, terrified of being, quote, mediocre, right? In my experience, that is rooted in their traumatic experiences, right? That is directly rooted into their core wounding. Most of the therapy that I do is concerned with people's core wounding. How and what is how is their core wounding driving their life, right? Driving them to work 80 hours a week. So that's what I'm always getting curious about, right? Now, so some part of him that is always checking has a lot to do with it has a lot to do with parts that fear failure, right? From a behavioral perspective, it's also just a tremendous and a powerful cycle of avoidance, right? So when you have the urge to check and you have that anxiety in your chest, you check and either something is there in your inbox or it's not, but you have cut off that behavioral cycle, right? I had an impulse, I did the thing, and therefore the impulse went away. What you want to also help him do in the realm of distress tolerance is have the impulse, feel the impulse, do nothing, and come down the other side of it. Create a pause there in that moment, right? Where he's feeling the impulse, the urge to check. And then what do? Nothing. You just be with it, right? Be with the part of yourself that wants to check. Daphne Fetter has this thing, notice, know, and need. So notice there's a part activated. It's in the center of my chest. Let it know that I'm here and ask it what it needs from me and see if I can provide it, right? The part just wants to know that even if I don't check email, it'll be okay, that I can still be successful in my job or whatever. Even just letting the part know that I hear its fears and I validate its fears, and then making the self-led decision to either check the email or not check the email. So we're just trying to create a little bit of space in his system and trying to find that pause, right? Anything that feels reflexive and impulsive is a part, right? Parts have agendas, self does not. So your steps for him really start with getting him on board with IFS and that he's made of parts and he has um, these parts that are kind of driving the bus, and parts are not self exactly. So that's step one is that getting on board with the model, right? And understanding or explaining some of these basic concepts, exploring them together, either getting him to experience his parts and their separateness from him experientially and or through reading about it or watching a video or I've got a bunch of demos on this channel showing him a demo of working with your parts, and what that looks like because it is different and weird. I hope that's helpful. Writer K, if you're here live, let me know in the comments if you have more questions or like follow-up questions. I want to introduce you to our sponsor for today's episode, Jane, a clinic management software and EMR that helps you handle your clinic's daily admin tasks so that you can free up your evenings and weekends. The Jane team understands how precious your time is and recognizes that charting can often be the most time-consuming part of your practice. That's why they're here to help. To save you from having to start your chart notes from scratch, you can check out Jane's template library, which gives you access to templates that have been generously created and shared by health and wellness practitioners in the community. Once you have a template you like, you can choose to customize it further with charting tools such as range scales, text fields, check boxes, and more. To see how Jane can help you spend more time doing what you love, head to the link in the show notes to book a personalized demo. Or if you're ready to get started, you can use the code JOHN at the time of sign up for a 1-month grace period applied to your account. Got another question from Jenny. Hi, Jenny. Jenny is in our Pathways to Self program, which if you're not in that program, it's a good idea. Every week we meet for about an hour and I walk you through an IFS meditation, a somatic exercise that you can both receive and learn and integrate into your practice. And then we work through basically 2 hot seats or 2 cases from people in the group. And I think it's a pretty fun time. You would have to ask Jenny. But if folks are interested in that, by all means, you can always jump into Pathways to Self, johnclarktherapy.com/pathways. You can join anytime and you can step out at any time. So, not much to lose. Okay. Jenny's question is, are memories parts? It's a really interesting question. Here's my conception of it. This is just my conception. My conception is that parts hold memories. Parts are like people inside of us that have unique perspectives and personalities, and parts hold memories, right? Now, all of you and your parts went through the same thing, the same experiences, grew up on the same street, etc. But so maybe multiple parts hold these memories, or all parts kind of hold these memories, or kind of have access to them to varying degrees. But for some, memories, especially intense, difficult memories, are predominant for certain parts, right? Certain parts are just kind of dominated by difficult memories, difficult experiences, right? That's how and when they picked up their burdens. So that's how I see it. But I'm just a dude with a YouTube channel and a microphone, which in 2026 is literally not saying much. But it's a great question and a fascinating one. I mean, what I will say is that we have to embrace that as practitioners, all of our work is theoretical. Every model that's ever existed, even though we can do brain scans and neuroscience, uh, studies and explanations of, for instance, IFS or EMDR, it's all still theoretical because I can't, reach in and put my hand on it, right? So these ideas of how to understand the human psyche are just ideas. Ideas about how to understand spirit are just ideas. But if they make sense to you and to your client and they feel real and they help good work happen in the room, then who cares, right? And clients experience their parts differently, and that's valid as well. Okay, writer cases. Yes, it's helpful. I just added follow-up details to my question above, but your answer was already comprehensive. Great. I aim for comprehensive and nothing less. So I love that. Okay. Um, gonna pull up a question here that was submitted ahead of time. Okay. This is from Olive. The client has a timeless hypermasculine protector part, old yet young, that tries to prevent deception and insists its way is best. It clashes with his more feminine parts, creating moral rupture. Okay, so questions to ask this part. Have the client's self, if they have enough self energy, ask this part, are you a part? In other words, are you a part that is native to my system? If not, if it's something external, then you would ask about its intentions or its role, right? If it's here to just help and guide, it would be considered a guide or a spirit guide, right? If its job or its role is to be a menace, then it would be considered a UB or non-attached burden, theoretically, right? In the experience and expertise of Bob Falconer, who's worked with a million UBs and is like the dude in UB land, um, these UBs don't lie. So if you ask them what they are and if they're native, they will tell you. If you subscribe to any of this or not, it's okay. It seems like Dick Schwartz is being more open about the spiritual realms of IFS and how it is part of kind of the spiritual realms, but you don't have to go there, if you don't want to. If your system is like, this stuff is freaky. I get that. So your job, Olive, is to work with it as much as you feel safe working with it, right? Work with it if you feel enough safety in your system to work with it. Yeah. And ultimately to connect it with self, right? So self can kind of do that work and do that negotiation. That's really how I would approach it. I hope that helps. I think I answered that in 4 minutes. Okay. So yeah, she has a follow-up here. Says, I have ideas about where to go with this, but I wanted to hear your first impressions. Oh, okay. So many of my male clients seem to have this strong rejected masculine part that goes against their values or ways they want to be and hold them back in relationships. We aren't supposed to have an agenda, but in general, what are ways you've seen these parts transform or integrate? Do they play an important role? I'm guessing that belonging to male role models, dads, brothers, etc., maybe there's a family intergenerational trauma around being victimized. Curious if asking the client about more family history would help. Well, you wouldn't be asking the client about family history. You would be asking the part or whatever this is about its history and who it is and what it does and how it got this job, right? So if you're sticking with IFS, that's basically how you would approach it. So she says, many of my male clients seem to have this strong rejected masculine part. Yeah, if it's truly a part, it can be truly a part or one that's very exiled, an exiled exile or an exiled protector. Who knows, right? It doesn't really matter what we call it, right? It matters what its intent is in the system. Is it trying to help the system or screw it up, right? Is it native or non-native? Those are the main questions to ask. Yeah, great question. IFS is simple but not easy. On the surface, it's about parts and self. But when you're in the room with a client, things can get complex fast. Helping someone meet a protective part or wounded exile, that takes skill. And most importantly, it takes safety. My name is John Clark, trauma therapist and IFS therapist. And in this free webinar for therapists and practitioners, we're going to explore the subtleties that make IFS so powerful and how to navigate them with more clarity and confidence. You're going to learn why safety is everything and how to do it well, what trips therapists up when applying IFS in practice, and a simple tool that you can begin using right away. If you want to go beyond theory and truly embody the work, then this is for you. Join the free webinar today. Link is in the description. Okay, next question that was submitted ahead of time is from Leanne. Leanne says, client with complex developmental trauma becomes dizzy or very sleepy during parts work. After 4 sessions, little progress. How would you approach this? Slow down and check with protectors more, right? So some part that is making the client dizzy or sleepy, this is really common, right? You start doing the work and the client's like a little spacey. They're just like, what? Sorry, what was the question? Ugh, right? Yawning. So first of all, a very organic and expected nervous system response, right? Nervous system effectively trying to regulate itself. There's actually a lot of activation in the system. Oh, but we yawn, right? It just happens spontaneously to try to regulate, right? So if we're getting these somatic responses, you either work directly with the somatic responses, right? Work directly with the dizziness and or the sleepiness, right? Or you just slow it down in general and work more on protector consent before you proceed, right? And you think to yourself, well, if this is happening, if this is a form of protector backlash, which you could see it as such, then perhaps we went too fast and that perhaps I unintentionally bypassed some protectors. Whoops. Go slower next time, right? Slow down, back up. Have the client just simply check inside and see if any parts have concerns about doing this work today or in general. Keep checking, right, with the system over and over again. That's kind of how I would approach it. Yeah. These signals are they're just information, right? And the nervous system doing its thing here is just information. So I want to use it, right? Or again, you could ask the client to ask inside which part is responsible for the dizziness or the sleepiness, right? And then get to know that part. So if you see it as parts communicating through the body, then it's just communication, right? It's not like a symptom to work through or, a problem, so to speak, or a barrier. It's communication. Speaking of communication, I have my baby crying in the background. I don't know if you can hear her, and now I have a cat meowing. So everyone's crying at my house except for me, knock on wood. that's how things are around here. It's a good time to have a podcast, I hope this is helpful. If you guys have other questions, feel free to drop them here. I've answered everything that's been here so far. And yeah, just another thank you for being here and supporting my work. I mean, I think we just hit like 100 episodes maybe, which is crazy. Really crazy because I just started this from scratch, and started it really as a person who was new to IFS, but I've been a therapist I had my first job as an inpatient psychiatric aide in 2008, I think it was 18 years ago, which is crazy, right? So I've been in this world for a long time, been a therapist for a long time. And really, it was in 2016 where I started to really develop my work as a trauma therapist and a specialist. Got trained in EMDR in 2016, and then really haven't looked back in my work with trauma. Trying to write a book here and there, write a few chapters, then I get stuck and terrified. Seems to be the way to go, the way it goes. But yeah, we're just kind of cruising. We've got the show, we've got Pathways to Self. I've got my digital detox group I'm doing right now, which is it's got about 4 more weeks. And then again, we just have Pathways to Self running all the time, which is great. So yeah, if you enjoy my stuff and enjoy my approach, whatever, by all means, feel free to jump into Pathways to Self. That's a great way just to kind of get involved and also to support the channel and support my work. So um, always welcome you into that program, johnclarktherapy.com/pathways. I'm also, I run my group practice in San Francisco, Calm Again Counseling. I've got a bunch of employees, associates, and I do their supervision and training for the board. So I'm really passionate about teaching, spend a lot of my week teaching as well as having my own clinical caseload, which right now I've got too many clients, like 18 clients, something like that, which is too much with all my other roles here. But I'm also lucky and fortunate to have great clients to work with and, a practice that's going well. So all good stuff. But yeah, that's how I'm kind of feeling today. So I hope that's helpful, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next one. Speaking of which, that one will be not next week, but we're going to do March 3rd for the next one. So I look forward to seeing you March 3rd, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, and everything in between and beyond. So thanks again for being here. Thanks, Jenny, for the thanks, dude, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. See you. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to another episode of Going Inside. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe wherever you're listening or watching, and share your favorite episode with a friend. You can follow me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at John Clark Therapy, and apply to work with me one-on-one at johnclarktherapy.com. See you next time.